remember because we got into the hotel. Because I told you this, I went away for Orlando for the weekend. I left Saturday. We got into the hotel pretty late, and they had it on television. They had it on for hours with Matthew Perry's death. And I just stood there for a second because, to me, one of the things that helped me develop my comedy and being comfortable around strangers was Chandler. The reason why I'm very sarcastic and witty is because of Chandler. It's because of Matthew Perry. I used to watch Friends a lot when I was a teenager, and it helped me be more comfortable in my own skin. Now he's gone.
Yeah, it's super weird.
It is.
I didn't find out until today.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't watch the news, you know?
I don't either, but when you walk into a hotel lobby, they always have CNN or Fox or NBC.
Yeah, you were like out and about, like, you know, at hotels and stuff. There's no way you wouldn't hear about it. I don't know what I was even doing over this weekend. Like, good Lord. I guess working. I was at work a whole bunch. We didn't have the news on. I didn't get on Facebook. I don't know. I just totally fucking missed it until today. Somebody said, you know, Matthew Perry had passed, or, you know, and I was like, what the? Oh, God, that's sad. That's really, really sad. You know, and I had seen a picture of him, but I didn't know that's why. I was like, shit. Damn, that's sad. I don't know. I just like, couldn't. I mean, I just found out today, so you know, I'm behind the groove.
Well, it's one of those. Sorry, Twixie. I just came back after 4 days, and dealing with a cat after 4 days is it's a little intense. But
when your cat has like been on its own for a few days, and then it's like all wound up that you're there. Yeah.
But I remember, this kind of reminds me of the time I remember when Robin Williams passed away.
Yeah, well.
And I was in a very public space at the time as well. And it was the same thing with David Bowie, same thing with Prince. It's odd, whenever these people pass away, for me, I always bump into being in a public place and finding out. It really, it sucks because, yes, he was 54. Let's understand, this is the year 2023. Being 54 is not old. Most people now live way into their late 80s.
I mean, of course, it's probably been said that Matthew Perry lived a really rough life, but I also still haven't seen any of the speculation or any of the news, or, you know, I mean, I have seen just nothing. So my opinion,
he had, based on what we know now, this is recent reports, he had a cardiac arrest. So what's believed is he had a heart attack.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, you know, you could say, yes, abuse. I mean, Tom Petty is a great example of this, but you have to understand, by the time Tom Petty died, he was already almost cleaned up. You know, what happened was somebody gave him something, and then the next day he passed away. This happens. I mean, you look at Mick Jagger, for example. Mick Jagger has abused his body head to toe. But now he, you know, for the past decade or so, I think it's past 20 or something years, he's been keeping himself in shape consecutively. Iggy Pop. Let's talk about Iggy Pop for a second. The man used drugs like one of those watch people that have all those watches, you know, those fake Rolexes. That's Iggy Pop. He has every drug going down his trench coat. And the guy's in really good shape. These are one of those things where you scratch your head like, but it happens. It's a part of life.
I never would have thought.
Neither would have I.
No. Way too soon.
I know.
Way too soon. Way too soon.
I really worry about Matt LeBlanc because I don't think he's going to take this. I don't think he's taken this very well.
Can't believe any of them are okay.
I mean, like, remember that they spend 10 years of their life together. You know, even I remember Jennifer Aniston was saying that even though they don't keep as well in touch, she was saying like they always look forward to hearing from each other.
They're like bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like trauma bonding. But I'm sure it was such an exciting time. I mean, I remember my coworkers from jobs, you know, that weren't even that amazing. Some
They
of them
started
were.
together. They started their careers together. And, you know, we look at celebrities with a dark lens, but these are very successful actors and actresses that work their ways to the top. And to lose one of them, even with that dark lens, is still rough because this is a creative, artistic individual that is no longer a part of that physically.
Matthew Perry was really amazing.
Very creative artist.
Really amazing in a lot of different ways. I definitely love the character Chandler, for sure. Really, really enjoyable. That's super fucking sad.
Very relatable. You know what's funny, actually?
Really sad that you can't put them all together anymore. You know?
Fun thing. Do you know in our bonus episode that we talked about Friends, we never talked about Chandler?
Chandler is my least favorite character, but now that he's gone, you know, I definitely appreciate. I mean, he's such a smart ass.
Too smart.
Know? He's such a smart ass. Like,
too smart.
He's great. He just like is maybe not my cup of tea, but like that character is like great to watch. And he's very funny, and the show would not be the show without him. Like, he has his place, even if he's my least favorite out of them. I mean, a lot of people say Ross is their least favorite. I could say Ross is my least favorite. Like,
my favorite is Joey. My least favorite, which is going to blow people's minds, is Phoebe.
I love Chandler because with Joey and Chandler is some of the very, very, very best friends there is. There's parts in season 4 that are just like gold, like the duck and the chicken.
Or the time that Joey built this insane TV cabinet.
Yes.
And he was being a dumbass, and this guy came in and was like, I bet you $5 you can't fit in there. And Joey, being a dumbass, he goes into the closet. Okay.
Shuts it.
They get all their furniture stolen. And then like Chandler walks in, he's like, wow, like what happened? He's like, Joey, what happened? And then Joey's like, this guy bet me $5. And just the look on Chandler's face, you know, of like, they had that bond between the two of them. It's like no matter what Joey did, Chandler always had his back.
Yeah, he always took care of Joey. Like, yeah, it's true.
Like, literally took care of him. Like, Joey was like, you know, the stay-at-home, and Chandler was the one that making the bread.
He was a good, loyal friend to Joey, you know, and even though Joey's kind of, you could laugh at Joey, Chandler never, you know, was like a shit friend to Joey. He never make fun of him, really, you know, like, he had like a loyalty as a friend.
You may not like this. My least favorite character is Phoebe.
Yeah, I mean, she's just hard to watch, but I get it. Like, I like Phoebe.
Well, the thing that tipped me off was, this is how much Friends I've watched. I can kind of commemorate certain episodes. The one where she finds a finger in a can of soda and she just keeps on getting money. And instead of being grateful, she keeps on complaining. And I'm like,
yeah,
I get it. I understand. But honey, you just got $10,000. $10,000.
That's nice.
It's a good chunk of change.
Yeah, it sure is.
Pay off a few things, you know? Your Diners Club card, you opened up in 98.
Your flights to
the Bahamas. Reno. Yeah, you booked in 2019.
Oh my god. Carissa's tired on the podcast like a fucking loser.
And this cat
I
is
don't know.
meowing like nobody's business. Get your fucking ass up here. Stop fetching like a little bitch and get your tush up here.
I feel like the word bitch is like having a comeback. I feel like it's more fun to say the word bitch like than it's ever been before. Like,
Technically, in her case, it doesn't make any sense because she's a feline. She's not a canine. So she's not actually a bitch.
no, you're totally right. I don't have a bitch either. My dog's a boy. Shit. Yeah, I don't know. I've been working a lot recently. Like I said, that's why I didn't, see the news about Matthew Perry. It's starting to get cold here. I know y'all don't have cold in.
Oh, it's getting cold here.
I thought it was like 80 degrees the other day with you guys.
Okay, our version of cold is like 20 degrees Celsius, 21, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, for us, that is cold. Actually, it's like 74 degrees, sorry. But yeah, like to us, that's cold. So I said us, but yeah.
Us as in like Floridians.
Well, because the thing out here is, it's not that the temperature is cold. It's we get cold winds. That's what happens. So it's warm, but you're getting brushed with cold winds constantly. So you could wear a short sleeve shirt, but it's not very comfortable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess it sometimes does get colder in Florida. I know. I just have been like really, really consumed with work and
the death of Matthew Perry. Yes.
I just like haven't I feel like I've been like in my own little world. Like I haven't really been like in the world. I've been just like in my little world, I don't know. I feel like I spend a lot of time just kind of like escaping into where I want to be and just, being hyper focused on just like what's going on, what I need to take care of, like shit like that. Just being responsible, keeping myself on track, staying focused, like just trying to, be the best me. That's kind of what I end up spending a lot of my time on. And I just feel like I've been doing a lot of it.
It's interesting because over 20 years ago, one of the many ways people in their 20s and 30s used to wind down, after a day of work or projects or a second job in some cases, was this idea of a sitcom. Sitcoms were very popular in the 90s, and they kind of stemmed through the 2000s, like The Big Bang Theory is a great example of this. And the thing about the sitcoms was it was not just about cheap laughs, it was just an easy way of obtaining entertainment that was enjoyable when you just needed a little me time. And shows like Friends, you have to understand that people that were in these sitcoms, they had no idea if they had a future. Okay? You're talking about these type of actors that may have worked in a restaurant, in Hard Rock Cafe or something in LA, worked a side project for somebody in their film studio or something like that, got a gig here and there in a commercial or so, and got this part in a sitcom. They didn't know if they were going to make or break. They don't know. They get a pilot. They don't know if it's going to get picked up. Their whole life can change. And so many people's lives did change because of that in the 90s. But we don't appreciate that anymore, because that was something that people had to work really hard for to achieve. We want to talk about hard work and going through the grind. That is one of those things where you don't know if this is going to make or break.
How often did they show Friends? When it was like coming out. Was it a thing where it was once a week or it was 4 nights a week, or
I
do
mean,
you even remember?
I can Google it. Just give me
Because
a
I'm
sec.
just thinking, like, if they worked on that shit for like 10 years and they were making, 4 to 5 episodes a week, or were they just, putting out 1 episode a week? I don't really remember. I think I remember Seinfeld being like 1 episode a week, but I don't really remember that either. But I mean, to
Okay.
me, Seinfeld and
And
Friends are in a similar
me,
ballpark, but they are not in the same ballpark, if you know what I mean.
um,
My
so
favorite Friends episode is so cringy. Well, no, I think my favorite Friends episode is probably the chick and the duck.
okay,
Just
so
anything with Joey and Chandler, they're fucking hilarious. But I
okay,
like the Halloween one. What?
okay, they had a pretty typical schedule from what I'm reading. It seems, if I'm not mistaken, they were on NBC. Yeah,
Yeah,
NBC. And they were on NBC on Thursdays at 8 p.m., which
just
makes
once a
sense.
week.
Yeah. And then they would do, well, in the 2000s, when I was growing up, they had a different schedule. So the way that they used to do is early releases would start at the end of the week, like this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. They didn't do this in the 90s. Sunday was usually like special programs and stuff like that. But something like that, like, people would watch reruns. But yeah, I mean, people would literally like prepare their schedule, like, oh, I'm going home now. I'm gonna go watch Friends. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Everybody watched Friends on Thursday night. Like, it was like, that's everybody did that. Yeah. Everybody
Let
watched
me.
Friends on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Dinner revolved around the time that it started. Everybody watched it. And then everybody talked about it the next day. You know? It was really freaking good.
Wow.
It's like a gift
So
to humankind.
the three most iconic of all time was Seinfeld, Friends, and ER. They were all Thursday night.
Yeah,
Wow.
ER was a big deal. It's true.
ER is no. Personally, I find it very outdated. If you
For
watch it
sure.
now, it's
Yeah.
very outdated. But Seinfeld is also outdated, but in a way that it's cringy and you're like so relatable to today because the whole world is filled with people like Kramer, you know,
I don't
and
know. I feel like I've
Elaine
watched a lot of
and
Seinfeld
George.
recently. There's an episode where they were, making a big deal out of somebody cutting up a Snickers bar, a candy bar with a fork and a knife. It was fucking hilarious.
George reminds me of every single woke, like, political speaker that just gets up on a podium because
George is the worst.
George is the worst. You remember there was
It's
an
so
episode.
entertaining.
He gave a. You remember the one when he was a king? Oh my god, that was hilarious. He gave a speech. That was the funniest thing. He gave a speech about
Oh my
him, and I'm
God.
like, you're listening to this guy, and you're like, damn, he can lie his way through anything.
He's absolutely Jason Alexander. He's absolutely
Amazing.
he's a really great actor. That show would not be Seinfeld without him. He
No,
probably makes I realize that if I watch, he's where I laugh a lot. Is the shit that he's saying is what makes me laugh, but again, I don't really like him. Like, I don't like him in the same way that I
Kramer.
kinda really didn't like Chandler either, unless he was, like, being funny with Joey.
Well,
But,
think about
like,
if think
I mean, he made me laugh the most, I think.
think about Kramer. Kramer is
Yeah,
one of
he
those.
makes me laugh a lot too, yeah.
Kramer is one of those characters. Honestly, this is my personal opinion on this. George and Jerry literally destroyed this poor man that probably had mental illness to some degree. He probably had some learning disabilities and certain problems. But Jerry and George managed to make this poor guy even worse. And my proof of this is watch the first episode every single season, of Seinfeld. Just do it. Every single episode. And you'll just see the progression of how bad Kramer gets. And you realize, like, these buffoons, these characters, and again, this is what sitcoms were. It was a comedy gang. That's what it was. That's what sitcoms were. It was a comedy gang. You brought a group of people and they did comedy as a group.
Yeah.
Friends, Seinfeld, ER, The Big Bang Theory. There are many of these.
Scrubs. Do you remember
Scrubs.
that terrible, terrible show, Scrubs? Ugh.
People love that. Mike and Molly.
Yeah, they did. They loved it.
Oh my God, I love that shit. Everybody Loves Raymond is another one.
Just the same people just blabbing is, I don't know. It's okay. Seinfeld, you know,
Seinfeld and Friends, though, and I want you to touch on this because you explained this to me the other while back. Like,
the while back.
no, you explained to me that, like, the magic about Friends and Seinfeld is that even though you get the same characters, it's like the environment changes.
I don't know. I said the reason that I like it is because it's in New York was my first, and I was living in Los Angeles, so it was really refreshing to see people living in a different city than the city that I lived in. Because a lot of times when I would watch movies, television shows, anything like that, it would be in LA, and it would be hard to like get away.
This is
You
not
know,
LA. You know, like, the funny thing is because when you watch a movie about LA, that's not.
it would always be like there. So then it's like, oh shit, like I just don't want to be there
Do you know what's it's
when I'm
funny because
watching TV.
you probably know this better than I do because driving around in LA, you start to realize where these film crews go.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always the same places. You're like, oh my God, it's the same spot over and over again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I recognize everything,
Yeah.
all the time. I can
That's
sit there and be, like, really annoying to people and be like, "That's down by blah, blah, blah," and that's actually 2 hours away from where they were 5 minutes ago,
that's
you
also the
know?
that's also like the thing for New Yorkers is even though Friends and these shows that took place in New York are not realistic by any means, but they had an emphasis and expression of New York that no
Yeah.
longer exists. Like,
Well, yeah, that's how we, like, pictured New York, like, us people who had never been to New York, you
they all
know?
left. That's what happened. Like, that's really what happened. They all left. And I'm talking about even creative artists. There is still a lot of creative artists still in New York, but the reality is that the community is dwindling because of the extreme pressures. And I'm going to say it, control. It's like you cannot control artists. Where there was a realization long ago, especially with the jazz scene in New York, where they realized, like, the way that they're going to survive is if they work together as a team. This is why, to this day, if you go to New York and you go to the jazz clubs and scenes, they're still one of the most vibrant because they've all collaborated and worked together harmoniously to create these great environments. This is in many ways why these sitcoms were successful, because when you bring these type of people together in open conversations, I know this because I've spoken with writers. Open environments are so important for writers and artists. Come on. Telling a writer, oh, you can't do this. Who the fuck are you? You're paying this person to write for you. Instead of telling them, don't do this, why don't you ask him, hey, I don't feel comfortable about this. What is your thoughts on it? That's what happened in the 90s, and that's what we got. Yes, it's old-fashioned, stereotypical laugh tracks, mediocre. But it happened because of collaboration and open-mindedness.
I think the sitcoms are a really good display of human beings, and as
Like
much as,
behavior?
like, yeah, I mean, it just kinda, like, shows it's, like, recorded. I mean, I feel like that's kinda why we like it, I mean, like, people say that they're like introverted, that they, you hear somebody say, "Oh, I don't like people," or
Me every day
whatever
on a
else.
Thursday.
It's like, yeah, you might not like people, but you'll sit there and watch a show with people because you don't have to interact with them, and it's like, it's really, really easy. Like, that's what was so good about Friends is like, I remember when I like marathoned it. See, I was too young when Friends first came out, and then I didn't watch a whole bunch of like reruns like everyone else. So like I spent a few months like marathoning Friends and watched it all the way to beginning to the end, every single episode. Probably when I was like 24, 25 is my guess. I think I had like a moment off work. I had just like finished a project. So I was like in between work and I knew I had more work coming. So I just totally had like a whole bunch of time that I needed to burn. So I watched all of Friends. And it was a really good experience. But I felt like I knew them, like because I had watched them so much and I didn't have to just watch one episode every week. Like I could just watch so much of it all the time and all my free time. I actually had like no friends at the time. I had like one or two, and then I had a whole bunch of friends that lived in other states elsewhere. And so, I watched this show like crazy in my off time. I just watched all of it beginning to end. And I felt like I knew him, and I feel like that's kind of maybe why it happens, why the sitcom was ever even invented, is because we as people like to watch other people, and it's like this professional way of being just like a voyeur, to
There
watching people,
doesn't
being close to people.
there doesn't need to be a deeper message to make a movie great. And this is the fight. And I don't believe in fights. I believe in open speech and open ideas. But how can we create television and production and give freedom to writers and artists and creators when we label people because of their type of thinking instead of allowing them to talk and speak freely? We cannot be able to be creative if we're shunned by the thoughts and opinions that we have. Again, like going back to the idea of whatever happened to the open conversation as artists. It's so important for our creativity. It's so important for us to communicate with one another, no?
Society's just fucking weird right now. You
Well,
know it. Society's weird as shit right now. I know you're on some kick trying to get the artists to like, whatever, but like society's fucking weird right now.
it's not about that. It's the thought of for myself alone, because when you're a creative person, any type of creative person, you sometimes can think a little bit outside of the box.
Oh, outside of the box, eh? Been hearing that one a lot recently.
But again, I don't like to shun people because of their opinions. I want to hear what they have to say. And the thing is, when you get into, okay, you want me to give you an example? I can give you an example.
Well, if you're offering one, sounds
Sure.
kind of entertaining.
It's like when you first get introduced to like ska metal. Okay. Because when you get introduced to ska metal, you can sometimes be like, what the hell is going on? But if you get introduced with like a crowd and there's people there, you get into the beat, everybody stands up, people put their hands over each other and they start dancing and they start cheering and shouting. There is a group and environment and an element to that. And the way that the communication happens is, like you said before, is with people. You're learning something by hearing people, figuring out, like,
Well, I was saying that like people will be like, say that they're antisocial, people will say that they're introverted, people will say that they don't like
true,
people,
right?
but they want to watch the people on the TV. They like people, okay? They just don't like having to interact with them.
But what
But
I'm
they
trying
like the company, they like people, you
no, I
know? They
no, I
like the
understand.
entertainment.
What I'm trying to point out is regards to human interaction, because whether you're coming from one side or the other, right? Each person is going to bring something else to the table that you may not. You know what? Let me give you a better example. Okay. I right now have another project that I'm working on. I work in a kitchen part time, and I work with this fantastic chef. He's out of Chicago. His name is Tom. And there are things that I do, for example, with pastries and pastry doughs and sauces and certain things that I'm very familiar with that he may not be as familiar to. I will still ask for his input whenever I can. And the reason I ask for his input is because even though I may know better than he may, but he may have input that I may not have thought of. And that may be very important. And that has been the case many, many times.
Well, and it's like you're doing it with him. You know, I mean, if you were just doing it alone, you do it alone. But like he's there, you're doing it with him. I just made a gross noise on the
Oh,
camera.
it's fine, honey. You can make as many gross noises
I
as you
feel
like.
silly because like that's what we're doing is like actually like recording. There's insane construction happening outside of my parents' house. Of course, when I moved back, I could have done it at any time in the past 10 years. But there's insane construction. They're tearing up the street
Why?
that my parents' house is on and replacing it with new street. And it is very, very loud. And it happens every morning, very
Every morning.
fucking early, like 7 in the morning. I'm just like not ready for that. It's the worst, basically. I have had no quiet for quite some time.
Are you
Like
right? Are you trying to recreate a sitcom episode? Because this definitely.
I am losing my mind, basically. But I get little moments of peace from time to time in my own way. But I'm losing my mind. I really miss just like regularness. But you know, whatever. I changed my whole life, so now it's changed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to. I told you this before. I went to Orlando.
Yeah, David went to Disney. David went to Orlando for 4 days.
Well, we left Saturday night. We came back today in the morning. Go down, honey.
That's cool.
Careful. Well, I mean, the thing was, my mom physically right now can't really walk. So, yeah, I was basically there to help her. You know, it was great too because I was able to like be a part of. But it wasn't just all fun. Like it was me pushing up a hill, running around. It's it's very different when you go to Disney as an adult.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't been in since I was maybe in my 20s, like
Ye-
early 20s, like 22.
Well, it's different because we met a worker that was there. She was from Casablanca, which is from where my father's from in Morocco. And it's not. Let me put this frank. Here in the U.S., it is not very common to run into Moroccans. I may be one of the very few
Yeah, but
American
there's a
Moroccans.
Morocco in Epcot, so they always try to get people from the actual place.
Do you know why? I'll tell you
They
this.
just always have because
No,
that's
no.
what
Do you
Walt
know?
Disney wanted.
So when they were working on the World Showcase, my father told me this story. When they were working on the World Showcase, Disney was looking at different countries to represent the World Showcase. There was a mosaic artist in Morocco. He's very, very famous. He passed away many years ago. And the King of Morocco loved, to this day, the palace. A lot of the work comes through his family. So he asked him to speak with Disney, and he wanted Disney to see his work. Disney fell in love with his mosaic tile work and craftsmanship.
Wow.
And what Disney did was they hired crafters and workmanships from Morocco. They came into Florida. They worked with the team from Disney and Epcot. They were Moroccans. They didn't speak any English, and they built the entire World Showcase. So
It's
if you
beautiful.
ever have the opportunity to walk through Epcot, where you're seeing is Moroccan craftsmanship, people that came in and built all of those mosaic tiles and fountains. It's a very special showcase that a lot of people think, they don't really think twice about.
The Morocco's gorgeous. We went there every single time when we were kids. I mean, that's where mom and dad wanted to eat dinner, was in Morocco.
A lot of them are not there, though. There are not that many there.
There was a big, beautiful restaurant, like with like all the tables and like a dance floor in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like the belly dancer would come out and perform. There was nothing better than like watching her dance. Like
They don't
that
do that
was
anymore.
they used to. It was the epitome of like amazing.
Well, it's actually hilarious because belly dancing is not a thing in Morocco.
I believe it. That's
Yeah.
probably why they took it out, but it was incredible. Like we'd
So
never seen anything like that.
there is so if you're looking for a provocative type of dancing, there is one that does exist in Morocco that is similar to belly dancing.
I think we probably just called it belly dancing because we don't know what you're supposed to call it.
Well, there's one where it's done with like cups. It's very interesting. It's like a wrap, and then there's a cup on the head, and it's this dance of like stillness. So it's just like staying still. I will tell you this now. This is the thing I always say. Do not call us Muslims. Do not call us Arabs. Do not call us Christians. Do not call us Jews. We're Moroccans. There's like a different, and it's funny because like, it knows it sounds so weird. Like this is like other Moroccans can relate. Our culture is so different than any other nation in the Arab belt. It's just fact. I don't even know how to explain it. We're nothing like anywhere else. We just have a very different culture. But
I think that Casablanca movie was really popular. That's also probably part of the reason that they chose Morocco.
As far as what I've been told, I mean, I did fact check this. It was because of the tile work. I forgot his name.
Oh, but no, I believe you. Like I'm with you on that.
It's just crazy. Can you imagine like the king of your country is like, okay, I'm going to put you on a plane now. You're going to go to California. You're going to meet with these people and you're going to show them your work. Okay. It's like, Isenruk. And it's just, but that was what I was trying to emphasize. And that's the thing about Moroccans. We love to share a culture. The reason why Morocco is the Switzerland of the Middle East is because our entire culture has been built around collaboration. Like one of the pedestals of Moroccan history is Christianity, Islam, and Judaism in one place. It's amazing. And just the respect for each religion and their faiths. Like people criticize Morocco as like, oh, you punish somebody because they're Christian, but how come they get punished like a Muslim? It's because in Morocco, a person's beliefs and faiths is sacred. It's your faith and practice. So that's something that I take out of it. Oh my god, I cannot believe I went on this whole rant.
No, you're good. It's very interesting. I feel like I'm glad that people have a good time when they go, but I don't understand why stories like that aren't like communicated more often, like I enjoy that. I enjoy learning about who created it and, more history of it. But I guess it's like, after you've gone a few times. But I do think that the World Showcase is overlooked in general. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of art. It's very enjoyable. But I'm glad that you spent time with your mom. I know. Was it like Halloween galore? Was it just like Halloween shit like
Yeah,
everywhere?
we didn't dress up. Like, I don't. We literally went there for the Food and Wine Festival for Epcot. Of course, we stopped and got Moroccan food. We got Moroccan bread, which was really good. It wasn't like 100% authentic, but it was fine. It was really good food. We had the best thing that I loved about the Food and Wine Festival, and this is why like I wanted to do this for years, is it's just a great attraction. Like literally a great attraction because you can go to this awesome place, walk around and see all these beautiful pavilions and try all these amazing foods. And that's the thing for me is like I like experiences. You know, I don't. It's great to have fun, but it's also just great to like be there in the moment. You know, and just experience it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't feel like I mean, were there a lot of people there? Was it like crowded?
So I did have a panic attack
That
twice when we went to.
answers my question.
Yeah, I had two panic attacks. It was crazy. I had one in Pirates of the Caribbean. It was very very dark. It was very closed. I just I just pulled out my albuterol and I was like,
What happened?
I have an inhaler.
Yeah, I know, but what happened?
I get. I've had respiratory issues since the last time I've had COVID, so I was given a thing. I don't know what it's called. I just got a panic attack. So I pulled it out. And then the time right after that, which was hilarious, the park started getting filled with people because like it was closing, everybody was leaving. And my mom was just completely delirious. And I'm like, I need to go now. And just blank. And she's like, I got one more place to go. I'm like, Ma, let's go. And we finally get out of there. And like I get into the car and I'm like, next time I ask you that I need to leave, please understand I need to leave. It's just I don't do well around crowds. I never have. So yeah.
Yeah, I wondered. It's hard to be around that many people in that kind of way, which is why people sit at home and watch Friends.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of going to but we did one thing that was really cool was we went to the Carousel of Progress. We never
Yeah.
went to this attraction before.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, it was it's one of the things that Walt Disney made. So it's like one of
Yes.
those attractions that a man that's been dead since 1967 like made, you know? That's something you get out of Disneyland you don't get out of Disney World. You get to actually experience what you get to actually physically experience him being like there, you know, and whatever like people have view of him, he created something that I don't think anybody in a millennia will be able to do. It's
No.
just
It's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how the world felt when Walt Disney died, you know?
the world got sadder. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I think
There were people that said, bad things about him, you know?
I personally believe that if Walt Disney was alive, he would be ashamed of what his company turned into. I believe that. Believe that wholeheartedly. Because yes, Walt was a businessman, but he also believed heavily in open expression and creativity, which is the opposite of what Disney's been doing.
It would be different if he had been in charge of it.
I mean, he wouldn't have been alive up until this point. No
But if he
way.
had, like, if they'd figured out some crazy way to, like, keep him alive and continue to, like, instruct Disney the way that he wants, it would be different, you know?
You know, it's not far from the truth. In the distant future, they may be able to create in artificial intelligence Walt Disney.
Yeah, but he won't have the authority that Disney would have had.
I understand that. I'm just thinking about a futuristic approach to this.
No,
But
it's a cool idea. Yeah, fucking
but
AI.
I think one of the biggest changes, and I've put a lot of thought into this. I think one of the biggest changes you would probably have seen from Disney is there wouldn't have been any remakes at all. I do believe that the Pixar thing still would have happened. I think Walt Disney would have been very proud of that collaboration, 100%. One of the biggest changes you would have seen was with Epcot. Because keep in mind that Disney's plan with Walt Disney World was to create the world of tomorrow, like the place that people can go to that would be advanced. So we might have had a place that would have been the very first place that was nuclear powered completely.
Yeah, like they were gonna go more that route with it.
Yeah, and Walt Disney could have been one of the first people to figure out, and because even to this day, he was able to figure out bringing groups together and creating all these unique projects. He could have helped Elon Musk tremendously. I think Elon Musk, if we had him in right now and asked him that question, would you love to talk with Walt Disney? Would you work with him? I guarantee he would say yes.
Yeah, I guess Elon Musk gets to be in the Walt Disney circle.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're both insane people in the membrane. Like they're not well, but that doesn't make them non-creative people. I think what made them creative was their mental struggles and their difficulties with their personalities.
Yeah, and people really, really loved Walt Disney. I don't know. I mean, like he had a really big heart. It's hard for me to like wrap my mind around a person like Disney. I mean, obviously he was like dead like way before, so I have no idea.
It's the understanding of just like Sting created this bond with guitar playing. No one can play guitar like Sting. Nobody. Ever. He developed, and it's the same thing with Walt Disney. He, in his head, developed a way to communicate to children no other person has able to do, to a point that the same message can be intercepted and accepted by adults. So it's something that adults and children can enjoy. And he
Yeah,
did
it's
that.
crazy that anybody like I don't know. I just think it's crazy that anybody put that much effort into the enjoyment of other people. I mean, I always feel like stuff is like mostly like motivated, but like
For sure.
he could have done any business to make money. He didn't have to do a business where you like, bring like joy and entertainment to people. I mean, like it's pretty nuts. I know it has, like, changed a lot, like, I've heard from people that, like, the actual, like, Disney experience itself, like, actually isn't as enjoyable as it used to be,
It's
but it
not.
used to be really fucking special,
I
like, or
remember.
yeah, it
I
was, like,
remember
ridiculously special.
I remember the times that we went there in the mid 2000s, like 2005, 2000. I remember those times. It was,
The early '90s was off the hook.
and back then, like when you got merchandise, it wasn't insane. Okay, so this is one thing that you've kind of realized that it is kind of, it used to be that you would buy stuff in Disney and they were like made in the USA or Honduras or like somewhere like around this region. And like Disney was like very big into, they were very big in the 90s about eco and working with communities and coming together and stuff. So when you would go to the Disney parks and you would like get stuff there, you couldn't get it anywhere else. It wasn't sold in a Disney store. It wasn't sold like, that was a place that you went to. It was a special moment where you were able to not only like come here and enjoy, like you're able to get something really special.
Yeah, I mean, in the World Showcase, they used to and they still do always have, like, all this, like, shopping. from other countries. So you can buy like stuff that you like never would see
They shut
before.
down all
It's
of
incredible.
the Moroccan stores. They don't bring in any of the stuff anymore.
They used to
Yeah.
have this like shop of just like all this like Chinese stuff, and
Yeah.
it was just like freaking incredible.
They still
You just
have
like
it.
walk through there forever.
They still have it. You know what's hilarious? I was watching a TikTok video about this. Somebody posted a picture of the stuff that was in the store. You can find an Alibaba for like a quarter of the price. They get the stuff from Alibaba.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
it's like the
hilarious.
same shit,
From
you
Alibaba.
know? But it's the same shit they've always had, and now that shit is on Alibaba. It's true though, that is pretty funny. But no, it's not.
I'll give you. Can I? So
I
there.
like the Japan store. The Japanese store
It was
is very
amazing.
cool. Isn't
Yeah.
it great?
Oh my god.
That's the best one in my
It's
opinion.
this so. They have vintage kimonos there.
Mm,
I
it's
have
very
to.
beautiful.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna spend money on another one, but the
They got a lot of good shit. The other store that I like is if you go to, I think it's like Holland, is where they have all the cuckoo clocks, all the wooden carved clocks. Ugh, so cool.
they don't do those anymore either.
Oh, it used to be so cool when we were
I
kids.
know.
One time I was in London and I caught a fake Beatles band, and that was just fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
so
hilarious.
cool.
Yeah, and they were playing "Love Me Do." I remember. I think this was 2007. They're playing "Love Me Do." You know, and like everybody going like love me do, good to two, and like
I know
yeah, no, no. And it was just
to please
please
love
love
me
me
too.
do. Dun, dun, dun.
Da-da-da.
I remember there was a Finding Nemo showcase they had when they did Finding Nemo. They came out with a ride, and one of the things they did, you could not get this anywhere. They had these toys like for Finding Nemo that were only sold in Epcot in that place, and that was one of those things. Like, you know, watching that movie and then you go through this whole experience as a kid, and then seeing that, you know, and being able to bring that home or whatever, it kind of changed you. The thing that you see today is kids like me growing up compared to kids growing up today, they're not as gullible as I was. They see behind the facade and they see
Hmm.
the truth.
I guess I don't know enough young people to like
You
know
could
that
see
about young
that.
people.
I saw a kid that was about 6 years old. Okay, his parents gave him the map, and he was guiding them through the park. 6 years old.
There are no
Ador-
physical maps anymore.
no, they have physical maps there, but
Everything's on a fucking phone. It's crazy.
they still give you physical maps.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I remember when they were this thick. Now they're just one little thin piece of paper.
I feel like I could guide people around when I was that age. I was good with a map. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's just I don't want to come off as like a Disney conspiracy theorist. It's just I guess for me because I've had the opportunity to go there so many times, I've seen it change so much that to me it seems excessive. But to a lot of people it probably doesn't. You know, a lot of people probably only gone like once, maybe never. You know, and they go and they're like, "Oh man, this is awesome." You know, and then maybe we'll go another time in their life. But the thing is when you really open up your eyes to what these things actually are, it scares the fucking crap out of you because
These are your fears.
no, because you realize companies like Apple and Disney, they're so large. They're so large. They're like a country worth of money. You understand this?
Yeah, they are their own country,
Country,
their own
literally.
kingdom.
Their own rule.
The Disney kingdom, you know?
Am I boring you to death with this?
I just have been working so much. I'm useless. Do you remember last time that we got on here? I was like half awake and just like trash, and I'm just tired as fuck, but thanks for calling me out.
Did you send me a message?
Yeah, I was worried that we weren't gonna have, like, space. Like, it says that it might not store our audio. I was like, "What the fuck? That's not a
Living the
good thing."
wonderful life of podcasting. No, I think we should be okay. I'm not getting any warnings. I'm getting green check marks on my end. I mean, I would say overall, I think experiences should be lived regardless of the outcome. Yes, I do agree that Disney has gone woke. Yes, I do agree that Disney has gone extreme. However, makes my mom happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, but, like, the real reason I was there was, like, makes my mom happy.
Well, look, I do enjoy going there, but to be honest, would I go there by myself? No. No.
Dude, I mean, just, like okay, Disney's one thing, but, like, then there's everything that surrounds Disney, like Orlando. Orlando's like a fucking beast, dude.
There's a
Like,
lot of
it
stuff to
is
do. There's Gatorland, there's a Titanic Experience Theater,
there's just too
there's
much going on in my
oh my
opinion.
god,
Like,
there's so
it's just,
much.
like
There's
it's
a
so
I
chaotic.
think there's an indoor no, I don't think there's an indoor ski lodge. I think there is. Wait, no. I don't remember. But there's a lot of stuff to do. There is. But it's interesting because like I live down here in Fort Lauderdale and there's a lot of stuff to do down here. You know, there's tons of bars, restaurants, venues. There's they have escape rooms. They have different types of experiences like karaoke rooms down here, like you were talking about the other podcast,
Mm.
private karaoke rooms. The thing about this is the thing about Florida, which people don't want to accept, is we like our fucking freedom, okay? Same thing like some places. And that's what happens is that when you have a place that people can kind of wiggle and move around, you start to having what we have in Fort Lauderdale and still developing. I mean, still developing in Orlando, still developing in Tampa, Fort Myers, St. Augustine is another great example of this.
What? Because people can be people.
Yeah, people can like Florida is not like Alabama and Georgia. Okay, if you live in Alabama and Georgia, oh my god, get the fuck away from me. It's just like they're down your throats. But out here, yes, it can be a bit extreme depending on where you are, but there's just a lot more wiggle room to be creative out here. There just is. There's just so much of it. Like you said, like there's so many places in Florida I can think of right now that's happening to, you know?
Yeah, I live in, Des Moines now, and there's not shit going on here. I know there's somebody who would argue with me on that, but in my opinion, there's not shit going on here. So I make my own fun, and I was like that as a kid. There's no such thing as bored. There's just boring people. So, entertain myself, come up with shit to do. I always had plenty of shit to do without having anything to do with the world out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's just there's not shit to do out here. So, I could totally see people watching Friends every single Thursday night. It's too bad. There's nothing that good anymore, you know.
Well, as time progresses, we'll start to see a shift because I think I think most people agree that being extreme is not okay, regardless of what side you're on. Being extreme causes more problems than actual collaboration and creativity. Because if you have two drummers that are constantly arguing with each other, like, bro, fucking figure it out. It's like, who cares about who you support? Like, you're here to do a job. Kiss a fuck. Just play. You know,
I don't look forward to election season.
I just call it the SNL presidential campaign. Saturday Night Live. Put it on, ladies and gents. Put the laugh track on in the background. It's going to be, because that's what it is. It's a joke. It's the same thing where
It's wretched.
we've gotten to a point, and I've talked about this many times, where artists right now, especially in California and many places, are fighting for their rights. Because as writers and as creators, we're being very limited as to what we can say and can do. And it comes to a point where, like we said earlier, so many of them have been gone. Yes, we're talking about big celebrities, but they're very important because they've left their mark. They've taught us something that we can learn a lot from as creators and artists. So there's something to take from that I feel is very important. Honey, if you want to be, get up here. Come here.
Cat.
Cat, 4 days not being home. Sorry.
Cat wants David. Cat wants David's attention.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, like, it can be hard to have your schedule match up with people, you know? But then with watching Friends, it's like you can just turn it on at any time. Like, it's not hard to
Fall into it.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like it takes a lot more effort, you know, and it takes like things just like aligning and all kinds of stuff and people having free time and people driving across town and like, you know, television is insanely convenient for mental stimulation. I feel like human beings, they like stimulation. Like, and they don't even think about it, but that's what's going on with the television.
We don't like to admit sometimes we just need a moment for ourselves, and sometimes those moments mean to chill out by the TV, you know, or just zone out to music or something. It's not being lazy. It's realizing that you sometimes just need to take a mental break. And it's okay. It's not going to kill you. I feel it's important, and I'm going to be very straightforward. If I see another fucking woke trailer for another stupid TV series, I'm going to throw up.
That's just what everything is now.
My God, who? Like, seriously, I don't.
It's thick.
It's like, bro, I don't need the shit in this. Like, I don't. Just give me a fucking story. Like, you don't need give me this whole background of why this guy is this race and why he represents himself like this. Just stop. Stop. Okay, you come up here or shut the fuck up. Make up your mind.
Yeah, everything's some like story about somebody's ethnicity. It's never just a story with some people. It's always got something in it that's like super detailed. Your cat, your cat's super cute.
It's called torture love.
I've heard cuteness aggression is a thing that I heard, where you just want to kind of like squeeze something because it's so cute, you know? You almost get like aggressive towards how cute it is.
The thing is, it's like developing bond. I feel each person develops bonds with animals in their own way. You know, we were talking about like the duck and the goose, you know, the duck and the chicken from Friends.
The chicken, the duck.
Yeah, the chicken and the duck, and it's like they both developed this bond with these animals in this way where it was just.
David's talking to his cat. Well, your cat's being extra cute right now.
But that was just that they didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? They didn't have to throw it. Like, no offense, that whole thing with the monkey and the Ross thing. I was like,
that was fucking weird.
It's like, bro. But anyway, besides that,
I always forget the name of the monkey. Marcel. It's Marcel. Yeah.
Let's not remember that, please. Sorry. Let's not remember. But that's what I loved about it.
It was weird.
That's what I loved about, like, with Joey and Chandler, the writers didn't have to put that in, but they put that in to like show a deeper level of humanity where not only were they like best friends, but they also like had a caring towards animals that they both shared, and Chandler would crack his jokes about, the duck and the chicken, but he genuinely cared about them, in the story. Yeah. Same thing with Joey.
I feel like they could get all kinds of feedback on like how the characters are being seen, and then they can write things in order to change the way that the characters are being interpreted. And since it kept running, for such a long time, they could keep getting feedback and keep changing the characters in order to continue to make them more and more and more, like likable.
Well, that was the thing about the Golden Girls, which I love the Golden Girls, but
Yeah, it's a good show.
let's be honest, the storyline doesn't make any fucking sense from season to season. Makes no sense. It's like when you like Rose has what does her daughters change? Like Blanche's kids change. I mean,
It doesn't line up.
nothing lines up. But that's because they constantly change out the writers. I remember when they did they had the interview of the writers for Friends. Whenever a new writer would come along, they would pass over, they like say, hey, we were thinking about this the other day, because we added this before. So they were always working together, giving information. This is why most of the storyline in Friends lines up and makes, besides their birthdays and certain things, because let's be honest, writers are human beings, okay? Like everybody else. They're not going to remember shit perfectly. People get crazy on Reddit. They're like, oh, they forgot Ross's birthday on I'm like, they're human beings, bro. Like, give them a break. It's a stupid birthday. Like, but that was something that same thing.
Harry Potter.
Same thing with Seinfeld, because you saw with Seinfeld, as the season's gone on, they got more insane. Like, towards the end, no spoilers. Towards the end, you sat there until like the last few episodes of the final season. You're like, I don't know how they're alive. Like, somebody should have murdered them by now. This is just...
You just absolutely hate them, and there's nothing likable about them at all. I haven't ever gotten to the very end of Seinfeld because people told me it was so bad, so I never kept going.
The last season was horrendous. It's so bad that it's like blanking in my brain now of just how bad it was, because we think of people as like, okay, like what's the worst thing that people can do? They did the worst thing that people can do together as a team over and over again for 24 minutes. And you're just, oh God, no, George, stop. Please stop. But I got through it. It was rough.
I'm not watching it. I'm not going to the end. I don't remember the last episode of Friends, which is strange.
It's a very sad moment because I think Jennifer Aniston said she remembers like when the door closed. That was it. Like, they packed everything up, they closed the set, and that was the end of the show. And like, the thing about, we like to give shit to these famous people, like, oh my God, look at all the crap that they do. But think about these people that work together for 10 years. They may not be able to see each other because, let's be honest, like, one of them may have to like go out to San Diego for a shoot. One may have to go to New York. Jennifer Aniston may have a project in another country or something. Like, their chances of being able to work together as a group or talk to each other is very, very difficult. We tend to not look at that. It's like, they're human beings. Yes, they're very famous, but they really were friends, and whether we understand it or not, like, for them as actors, they now lose an opportunity that they worked on for a decade together.
Well, as far as I understand, the network wouldn't pay them the amount of money that they deserve, and that the network was trying to keep more money for themselves instead of increasing the payment of the actors. And finally, the actors just said, fuck you. We're not going to do it anymore if you don't give us the money that we deserve.
And they all equally split the money between themselves. They all got the same amount. Crazy. It goes, for me, it goes to show that no matter your status, your success, or who you are as a person, you're still a human being. You still have a life, still have experiences. Yeah, we fuck up and make mistakes, but here we are.
I just captured a moment in time. You know, I mean, that's what life is all about, moments.
I'm not going to be able to look at Friends the same way.
No, it's really fucking sad. I can't believe I didn't know. It's really fucking sad. I mean, it'll be really. It's hard when people pass away. You know,
Took me a year to watch a Robin Williams movie after he passed. That fucking. The thing is, he passed away in 2016, and I like kind of changed my life in 2017. It was not an easy time because, like, even though I never met the man, knowing that he was around, you know, to create something, kind of gave you a bit of hope to like look forward to something.
Yeah, I know.
And it's gone.
Yeah, I wish I could have had more. You know, I don't know.
But
people are going through a hard time. You know, I don't want to make them make more entertainment for me when what they really want is to just get away from everything.
Right. It's crazy because these are the people that creators and artists have been the pedestals that have kept civilizations and societies together. Think about the Roman, the Greek Empire, the Egyptian Empire, throughout history. And when you have figures, people that have worked themselves up, they represent something that is important. A lot of actors and people that are a part of the industry, they look up towards. They have something to look forward to, something to learn from. And I can imagine you as a makeup artist, you probably feel the exact same way. There's probably creators and artists you like, that you're inspired by their work and the stuff that they do. But when
I think there's a minute there where, you know, that show Friends was like a representation of America as a country. Like, I think it was probably the most popular thing in the entire world at one moment.
a lot of people learned their English from that show. I have a cousin like that. He literally
That's
learned.
cool.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, I learned the English from the Friends. In I think in Hebrew it's called chaverim, because friends. Yeah. So
that's really cute.
And over there, it's in English, but they have Hebrew subtitles. So it's really great for Israelis that are trying to learn English, because they can see Americans speak the English, and then they can see what they're saying with the Hebrew. So I know it's just like random, but think about that. Like, it's just a casual way of speaking that other people from other nations are like, I want to learn English. You know, they don't have the patience to pick up a book or something, or it's just hard for them. This is a great way for them to learn a new language, such as English. There's so many of those examples when it comes to these type of shows. This is why they've been so successful. It's not because they're intricate or have racial culture or gender norm or spectrum or all of this. It's because it's just a bunch of friends being friends, doing friends things.
It took a lot of money. It took a lot of investment. It took a lot of research. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of professionals. Like,
Indeed.
It's, you know, I mean, it's just done differently now. I mean, it ran its course. It was really fucking cool.
Well, just like there's dropping points, I feel like there are peak points where it'll go back up. we don't know what the entertainment industry might look like by the year 2030. It might look very different than what we look at now. We may look at this time as a very dark time, a time that we failed as a society and we realized from our mistakes. We may not, but we shall see where that takes us. And even though we've lost people along the way, such as Matthew Perry, Tom Petty, and Prince, and so many others, it is a loss. But where are we going to push forward? Where are we going to take our next steps as artists and creators? Hopefully for a better tomorrow.
I don't know. It's important to have personal projects. Important to continue to just be creative in your own life.
For sure.
Encourage other creators around you.
Yes.
Encourage people that you care about to work on the things that they're working on. Give feedback. Communicate with them about what you're working on. Just, yeah. Try and do it in your own life, in your own world.
In your own groove.
In your own groove. All right, this is a good episode.
This has been a great episode. So, for you all that want to catch up with Carissa and the American Groove bandwagon, you can find, we have our Instagram page at American Groove Pod. What's the best thing you can do for the podcast, Carissa? It's the number one
Write
thing.
a review.
Yes, write a fucking review. It's really simple. It takes 2 seconds. You just go on Apple Podcasts, your computer, your phone. It not only helps us as a podcast, but helps other people experience Lost in the Groove. All right, I'm going to smoke another joint. We love you all. You know where to find us. We're at Lost in the Groove Pod on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. With that, we're going to crash, hopefully not break any bones. We love you. Bye.
Bye.